Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 344, and today we're doing battle with Leona Aurelion Sol. And so this deck, check out these stats. This is what you always love to see out of any deck you're getting ready to do battle with. If you look up towards the top of the page, the overall win rate under 40%. In the middle of the page, the good matchups column completely empty. And then on the right side of the page, everything is listed as a bad matchup and none of the win rates are over 30%. Absolutely beautiful. The expectations are set. The bar is super low. Things can only be going up from here. But no, our idea with this deck, we are getting ourselves prepared for the upcoming Runeterra Open. And if we look back a few days, the Mastering Runetera Open just happened. Everyone can be in agreement that Samira is at the top of the format. At that Mastering Runetera event, all 8 of the top competitors were playing with Samira, and what I suspect to be the most common version of the Samira deck is going to be Samira Leona. And so if we think back to the past couple of seasons to where the Sunburn deck was very real, that was the Leona deck paired off with Katarina. One of the absolute best matchups you could put in front of that was playing a Leona deck that was just a little bit slower. And so things like Leona Aphelios and Leona Aurelion Sol absolutely smashed the more aggressive Katarina versions. And so we're keeping that idea in mind as we kind of push forward with this version of the deck. And we're just thinking to ourselves, if we can be a little bit slower and pick on the most common deck of the format, then that's a pretty good place to be in, even though the matchups over here on the right may not appear to be that good. And so, at its core here, we have the standby, what you're going to see out of pretty much every Leona deck. We have the Leona herself, the big Solari package with the Soldier, Shield Bearer, and Sunhawk. We're bringing in the Sun Guardian and the Ravoon. Everybody plays those. That's no big surprises there. The things where we're starting to kind of branch away are where we have the ideas of just being a little bit slower. And so we do need to make up against some of our opponent's aggression. That's where we're going to see cards like the Solari Sunforger come in. Ideally, these big lifesteal hits will give us the time we need to then ramp up a little bit further into the Eclipse Dragon and then further on into the Aurelion Sol. And so we do have the much bigger package of units here. We aren't playing any of the aggressive 1-drops. We don't have any dumb cards like Might in our deck. We're looking to just be a little bit slower than the opponent. Now, the next interesting thing that you can look at when you're playing a Leona Aurelion Sol is both of the champions are out of Targon, and so you get to pick and choose what you want your last remaining faction to be, or your second faction, I guess we should say. And here we're going to be playing with Demacia, and so that gives us access to early game interactivity with the single combat and the Fleet Feather Tracker. If we're going to be trying to answer Samira early, we need some of this early game aggression, and so that interactivity is what we're really looking for to get out of those. And then we have 1 copy of Champion Strength. That's going to be an additional way to kind of come in and close out these late games. So the last, kind of neato and interesting thing you can see out of these off-meta choices, if you will, is single combat does tie in quite nicely with these cards, much in the same way you see Samira used in the Samira version of this deck, to where with her, you're looking to give a unit like the Solari Shield Bearer Challenger. Then you can use that 3/6 Challenger to take down an opponent's unit, not lose your unit while you're at it. The big thing that we can look towards this style thing is with the Solari Sunforger in the single combat. And so we can potentially gain 10 health out of a single turn. That should give us a pretty healthy life buffer if we need it, but we can also use the single combat with cards like the Solari Shield Bearer and do much to that same thing, as to where we're not directly getting into combat, we're not performing a challenge, but we have this really high health unit for a turn. It's a fantastic target for single combat. The last things to call out in here, we have the Dragon's Clutch. This can be used either way, as to where we can use it to draw both Eclipse Dragon and Aurelion Sol. That should be enough late game power to just carry us through any game. But you can also use it to give your dragons Overwhelm to punch through and deal the finishing blow. Last but not least, we have access to cards like Hush. I think this is ultimately quite important in all of the Samira matches. If you're playing against Fizz and being able to hush away some of their elusiveness, or if your opponent manages to build up a big 7/8 Sun Guardian and you're able to hush it down to a manageable size, you can get lots of useful interactions out of the silence coming from here. And so that's the deck. That's what we're going to be doing battle with today. Let's go ahead and jump on in, see if we can win roughly 33 to 40% of our games. I don't think it's nearly that bad. I believe we played this deck right when the season started, and I think that is kind of an interesting space as well, as you saw the kind of evolution of the Samira Fizz decks to where they weren't playing cards like Heavy Metal. And then, as everyone realized that everyone else was playing Samira, you kind of figured you had to get that 2 damage burn spell into the deck, but slow it down just a little bit. I think that's very similar to what we're trying to pull off here, as to where we are just trying to be a little bit slower than the other Leona decks and get an advantage that way. So with this, I'm looking to be a little bit slower here. I'm trying to keep our Fleet Feather Tracker back just for the event that the opponent has Nora. And so they're playing Samira Nora. We're probably not going to be able to answer her on this board, but we've got the Fleet Feather Tracker to try and hook her in on a future turn. We've got the Solari Sunhawk to potentially get a stun and keep her out of combat. Not the way that this game is currently flowing, but that was the idea. I don't want to just throw the Fleet Feather Tracker into the bird, since it's just going to get destroyed. There's the Nora. So he's most definitely getting a portal. Do we want to take down both of the birds? The thing that worries me is we're just like a little bit slow on these upcoming turns, and I worry about just getting blasted by this Blade Twirler. So we'll definitely take the free block with our Sunhawk, but I think I want to keep the Shield Bearer back in case the opponent tries to open attack 2 turns from now. We're most certainly going to be the control deck in this matchup. We're going to be a little bit slower than our opponent, and so I don't want to just be throwing down some of these bad trades if we don't have to. Now I'm curious if we can get them. You know, it's kind of interesting in this space to where I'm going to just go ahead and boost the Fleet Feather Tracker. But I was curious if we would be able to, you know, get him to play not a pokey stick, whatever, pastry shot, whatever that the 1 damage thing is called these days. Get him with the pastry shot, you know. All right, but this looks like a decent board. If he wants to open, all of our units are bigger than his. If he doesn't, then we're going to be able to throw down the Leona and get the stun onto the Blade Twirler. All of that looks pretty good to me. We unfortunately have to tap out to get to this point, so we could potentially add another Nora to the board or something that would be a little bit annoying, but the big problem unit here is taken care of, and then the rest of his team kind of sucks. So there's the pie toss. That was what I was curious if we could use or we could bait out with our Fleet Feather Tracker. I missed if it was created by the Conchologist. Looks like it's a normal copy. Okay. Gonna be taking a bit of damage here. Glad we got the stun onto the Blade Twirler. We'll be taking 5 on the round, but the opponent's pretty much worn out of cards at this point. If we can just make it a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer, just a little bit more of that time thing everyone's talking about. So unfortunately, we got to come in with Ravoon. We just don't have a way to get 2 units on the board this turn. And a Bandle Commando. Sure thing. I'm going to go ahead and take this one down. If we have to throw a unit in front of the Blade Twirler to just not die, I'm fairly okay with it. It's not that big of a deal. Looks like he's going to be opening on us, and oh my! He hits a fairy out of nowhere. That's a bummer. That's a bummer. So we'll fall to 3 in this space. He's gonna follow up with the pastry onto Leona, but we can look to give her barrier before that can pop off. Ah, what a bummer of a hit that was, man. Alright, things are getting close. Things are getting scary. I'm curious if we can't get the big stun kill next turn. We have 2... Well, it would be a lot better if we had a bird right? If we had a Sunburn, we could potentially shut down all the stuff that he has, but I think, and it sucks that the Sunburst is so expensive. We're definitely looking to Morning Light Zenith Blade next turn. I'm trying to decide if we want to just go ahead and add the Shield Bearer. Maybe it's okay. We're kind of wasting a stun to pull that off, but hopefully it's okay. Alright, so we definitely need to be opening with the Daybreak. Oh, Pale Cascade turns up. That's kind of nice, but we didn't find any more units. So I'm going to put the Overwhelm onto Ravoon. It's going to protect him from the pastry just a little bit. Don't approve of that nonsense. Still have our Daybreak with the Ravoon on the board. Alright. Maybe we can get there. Maybe. We'll have the Sun Guardian for a stun. We'll have the Morning Light for a stun.
Defend our sacred ways.
All right, more barriers. It is kind of nice seeing those perilous pastries just go onto the units. So let's Daybreak our smaller Sun Guardian. We're going to get 2 stuns for the turn. Get 1 hook out of Leona. He's going to block the big Sun Guardian. Okay. Okay, nice draw. I'm pretty certain if that was just like another unit or something, we would have had the lethal there, but is what it is. I think we prevented every single point of damage that game. That's one of the things I've been finding to be of utmost importance as we do battle against these Noxus decks. It's not like the days of old to where you're playing pirates with Eye of Nagakaboros and all the Nox and Fervors and Zap Spray Fins and Decimates, and you end the game playing this aggro deck with like 6 cards in your hand. Those days are long gone. And I feel like in a lot of these games, you're in pretty decent shape if you just do everything that you can to prevent every damage that the Noxus deck is trying to do to you. And so I think in that game we prevented all of it. It feels like we got our champions into pretty much every combat. We had that turn where we got the big Leona block in and everything. I don't think we left ourselves in a spot to where, you typically say your opponent attacks with a 3/3 and a 4/3 and you have a 4/4, you typically just block the 3/3 because you only take 1 additional point of damage and you keep your unit left over. I don't think we ran into any spots like that in that game. Like, I know we got a block in with Ravoon there late, but I don't think we ran into problems with that. So I'm going to go ahead and get the Sunhawk on board. If he wants to follow up with the Trifarian and go in for the kill, I think I'm okay with that, but I don't want to be leaving our Leona Sunburn, our Leona stuns back, because I want her to be leveling up pretty quickly. It's going to be quite important to have a flipped Leona to bring the stuns against these people. All right, should be pretty obvious we're up to shenanigans. We need to be doing something to get on board here, so I'm fine with this Pale Cascade, even if he has a Elixir of Iron behind. Can be important to hang on to these cards like Pale Cascade. It's as the opponent starts to go for Ash kills, you can burst your stats back up so you're able to block. We'll see if that comes up here in the future. But that was a kind of an odd spot to me, as you think to yourself, okay, I have a 3/3, my opponent's attacking me with 2 2/3s. It's not like we're attacking him with action. I felt like it should have been pretty obvious that we had combat tricks there. Oh, the Pale Cascades. Oh, the stuns. Bird, bird, bird. into Leona. The way the game is meant to be played. Where's your friend Yasuo when you're bringing all these stuns out to the table?
Bask in the light's radiance.
A true Freljordian welcome.
All right, let's just send in our winning combats here. I wouldn't really suspect opponent to have tricks if they didn't try anything on the previous turn. I guess that Trapper was a fairly low value unit though, so I don't want to read into that too far. All right, what you got for us? So you got to open. The Shield Bearer was a nice draw. We'll get the unit that's just bigger than the LeBlanc, potentially get out in front of some of this stuff. The card we have to start worrying about here is going to be Reckoning, and we seem safe from it this turn. It doesn't really seem like he's been setting us up for a Reckoning type play, although it does kill the entirety of our board at the moment, and so maybe he did actually have a little something up his sleeve. All right, not good, not good.
Show me a target. I'll cut them apart. Face me.
Surprised to see me.
It's kind of an interesting spot. I don't think we have to worry about Ashe flipping at this point. We do get a free-ish block with Leona. But the big thing here is our potential ability to take down Ashe. So if we can get her off of the board, that would be fantastic. Nice, excellent combat. And so we had a bit of mana back there. We could have protected our 3/6, but at this point, I'm really just interested in getting a Eclipse Dragon Aurelion Sol. And so it's a little worrisome in the sense that we don't have the mana to play Pale Cascade anymore, but we don't necessarily have to play Aurelion Sol next turn.
Bask in the light's radiance.
I feel a little bit safer getting the big dragon on board, though. Gives us a little bit of protection in the face of a Reckoning. Interesting.
To me.
All right, let's battle. I don't think it's going to matter too much here, but you do want this LeBlanc over to the left. You don't want her flipping and then potentially having 6 attack and then having a second LeBlanc in hand and dealing a damage to Leona and having her die in combat. All of that nonsense sounds terrible, right? We most certainly want to have this LeBlanc to the left as these combats go through.
Daylight is unrelenting, but not eternal.
I think he's trying to line up his, what's this called? Sigil of Malice. And he's starting to realize that it deals 0 damage to Leona. I'm fine with this if we get to take the units down. We just need time out of this. Okay. So it gets a LeBlanc flip. Not that big of a deal. I'm okay with it. We still have a very healthy life total. We're still at 20, so even if he does have some kind of big Ashe play next turn, we can probably survive it. So yeah, this doesn't strike me as an Aurelion Sol turn. Maybe it's gonna find itself being that way. He's only coming in for 17. What are we at? 7, 11, 12, 13. We'd be at 23 if we play Aurelion Sol. I don't really want to block, but this is I think we probably have to. I don't know. It's just like if we get involved with this, it's so easy to get destroyed by another flash freeze. But we have the hush to potentially get in front of LeBlanc. I guess like this one's kind of safe. Putting Leona in front of the Hearthguard, and then if he has another combat trick, we can potentially get in front of it. All right, let's just throw away the bird. I guess it's not going to get much better. Fine. Alright, dragons. We're not gonna be beholding Celestials anytime soon, so we'll take the Living Legends. Living Legends is also exceptionally powerful if we do manage to flip this Aurelion Sol. Oh shit, she's ready to flip. Oops. I've been playing with quite a bit of Aurelion Sol over the past couple days. I thought she required 25 power, and so as I was doing that finger math out there, I was trying to get up to 25 and was like, yeah, she's not gonna flip. But now that we can see this, all right. But we've got him worn down pretty well, right? He's only got 2 cards in hand at this point.
My faith protects me. Sunlight blinds.
Get some dudage on board. We need to just make sure we have plenty of blockers for next turn. Oh, is he going to rally on us? Why else would he be putting the Hearthguard in? Like, it just strikes me as he wants to put down the big expensive guy. It's a painful Solari soldier to give up on because it's kind of our only outlet to getting a stun next turn. Oh, is he just trying to keep Aurelion Sol from attacking? That's fine. How bad could this attack with Leona be? It's just not worth it. I think we just want to keep adding dudes to the board, and then we'll roll into next turn and just have a Aurelion Sol flip. Like, the only... Well, I guess there's a couple of potentially frightening things, right? He could come at us with something like a Reckoning and kill off multiple dudes. That would be a problem. Or he can play another Ash. But I'm going to say, if he doesn't have that big kind of AoE thing, then we should be in pretty decent shape.
Victory today, freedom tomorrow.
Victory today, freedom tomorrow. All right, that's not a good match. Go ahead and put that one out there. That matchup is not good. That's the kind of space where I start to think, like, I'm not entirely sold on wanting to play Aurelion Sol. Like it just, the format feels a touch too fast for it to be relevant. And I do play with the intent of banning out set Karma, but you still have to go up against stuff like Aatrox. And Aatrox still just has a way better late game than you do. And so it's like I start to consider just playing something like Kale and then Champion Strength. And I think there might be something with that, but I definitely want to try out the Big Dragon. This is also the downside to playing the Big Dragon. Like, I guess on the flip side of the coin, you could just be saying to yourself, like, well, if you draw Champion Strength in your opening hand, you're in kind of the same space. But kind of is what it is. You don't want to be starting with your 10 drops. So here I'm playing this a little bit slow. I want to get the Solari Soldier down as a 3/3 and be ready to single combat. So if he plays a Samira here, we're just ready for it. If he only opens attacks with a 2/2, that's a pretty good round for us as well. So now we have to make the decision, you know, how much involvement we want to get, and we'll probably just try to trade for the pigeon here. I'm curious if he even attacks. That'd be super sweet if he if he didn't attack. That would be a definite win for us.
No one's the
Oh,
wiser.
Saboteur comes in. That fixes things a little bit. So we can say block the Saboteur and then single combat at the Crimson Pigeon. Only take 3 for the turn and stop a lot of their aggression.
Behind ya.
No mercy for heretics.
So we want to get the Saboteur off the board, right? I'm still trying to get in that mindset of just, you know, prevent every point of damage that you can. And we take 1 extra point this way, but it should make up for itself next turn when the Saboteur attacks and that point of damage comes through for free and there's not anything we can do about it.
Bless the faithful and sear the heretics.
So I'm going to add the Soldier now. We're going to look to play the Shield Breaker next turn. Potentially get some better blocks in. I'm curious here because he only has 1 mana, so he shouldn't be able to Pale Cascade out of this. Let's go ahead and send the attack in and see if we get the trade. There is a world where he just doesn't block because we have 2 mana back. So I think we want to send it in.
No need to make a name for myself. Just an impression.
My faith protects me.
All right, now I'm afraid we're gonna get outwithed, right? This is a good shield bearer, but picking up Aurelion Sol and Eclipse Dragon this early was a bit painful. We do have the Sunburst if he brings Leona, but I'm still a little scared. Very, very strong chance for opponent to just tempo us out here. That was spectacular.
Warriors of the Raharaka, time is now.
Will follow you to the edge of daybreak.
Spectacular. Love seeing that no attack go through. Now, it is going to be a bummer if he has a Leona here. Because, right, even if he has Leona, then next turn he can still get a stun before we're able to Sunburst her off of the board. It's, again, another big chance for that tempo to come at us.
Devotion through battle.
Then I'll happily trade away the Shield Bearer if we can here, as he's got this Samira on the board trying to get primed and ready to flare through. Love to just see her removed. Alright, let's make him work for it. I love seeing these mites come in now. Like, I don't really care if we end up losing this Ravune. It's not going to be the end of the world, but this is exceptionally good for us when he's playing all of his combat tricks on the backside, right? He just gave his unit Overwhelm and +5 attack. Didn't get to deal any damage to us. That's absolutely fantastic. So now we've got ourselves kind of set up here to where we don't have to worry about nearly as much burst coming out of their deck. Interesting. Is flipping Samira or something? Why? Why would you do that? It's like he made that really big anti-aggressive play in like playing the might and the combat trick on his turn, but then makes the very aggressive play of protecting his mana by sending the Samira blast at us. Maybe he was just anticipating not getting into combat, right? Since he plays Leona, she gets the stun, and then if we follow up with a unit, Leona can hook. Interesting.
This should be fun.
No blocks. Now, this is kind of an interesting spot. I'm really thinking of just dropping both of the Solari soldiers now. We don't have any Leonas in our hand to take advantage of these Daybreaks, and the way our curve is going to go is we're going to play Eclipse Dragon and then we're going to play Aurelion Sol. And so I don't want to be just banking this mana. The thing that I'm worried about is just dying.
We will
And so
unbelievers.
They will not
the way he's going to end up killing us is like playing Leona and getting a stun and getting a stun and then attacking across our board. And if we can drop these soldiers as just cannon fodder, it's going to give us the time we need to get Aurelion Sol down. I must say, I was playing a game yesterday. I loved it. I forget how the exact sequence went, but I know I got to play a 4-mana Aurelion Sol, and it really made my day. It involved playing a bunch of Eclipse Dragons and having Ravun on the board or something. I don't entirely remember how it went. Oh, I know what it was. You can't just play Eclipse Dragon. I drew 3 Leonas in the game, and so we played an Eclipse Dragon and then used it's not the Winding Light, it's the Leona Light, whatever it's called, to
Don't hold any
activate a Daybreak. And so it was like we got to reduce Aurelion Sol down to 4, and then play Aurelion Sol after we stunned out their whole board. It was pretty sweet. I really wish we'd gotten it on video, but you can't get it all. But all right, this should be pretty good for us, right? You didn't even get the flip with Samira. Now we get to start dropping big dragons. It's pretty tempting on this round to just play Eclipse Dragon. Keep the mana for Hush and then play Aurelion Sol next turn. Like, I don't think we're really worried about getting the Aurelion Sol flip anytime soon, and having access to Hush just gives us so much protection. Alright, same deal. Take the Living Legends. Probably not going to have any other Celestials. Still a good one. There we go. The big dragon says GG.
See you next time, Runeterra.
Alright. I've been meaning to get the deck tracker up. Sorry that's not up here. Let me see if we can't fix that for the next game. Alright, hopefully that'll pop up. So man, I was playing some last night on the couch next to the wife, and I kept playing Leona. I asked her if she wanted to be the bulwark of the sun, or I forget what the actual voice line was, but I think she thought that bulwark was some kind of derogatory term or something. She had to go and look it up. I thought it was a shield. A bulwark, I guess it should be a shield, at least to some degree, right? That's what Leona's carrying. She's got this big ass shield, right? That's kind of her jam. It's kind of her thing, but. She kept pulling up things in regards to a boat. It was kind of like the wall on a ship or something. I don't entirely remember, but it was Googled. Answers were served. Alright, well this is all around fairly awkward. We'll get the soldier down now. I wanted to play this just like a little bit slow to see if we couldn't get the soldier into a Pale Cascade this turn or something, but none of that came together. Now we're looking for a pretty nasty overbank. Ooh, perfect draw on the shield breaker.
in shining sunlight.
Shield bearer. He's not breaking shields. He's not the breaker of shields today.
Devotion through battle.
Alright, I think we're going to be grinding this one out against Pantheon Udyr here. Seeing the Cosmic Youngling should indicate that you're going to be in for the long haul. Oh boy, a boar stance on the Youngling. Alright, she's ready for combat. I'm not going to spend a Sunburst on this. We'll save Sunburst for the big champions. Just healing 1 mana, healing 1 health every turn as we look to build towards Aurelion Sol does not really frighten me. I would like to play some of these cards, though, get a Pale Cascade or a single combat or something. If he taps out for Udyr here, I still feel pretty safe. This is a nice Udyr turn in the sense that you get to
Scorching light.
you get to play Udyr with the stance in hand and then have the free stance to put onto him. But if that's the angle he's going to take, he'll be tapped out and we can just kill Udyr with Sunburst. I'm going to wait and see on that. We could Pale Cascade the Shield Bearer, but I think All right, fine. Let's take let's take this dum dum down. We still have the Sunburst in hand. Uh-oh, here to help. Oh, snap. What a giant unit now. He's going to kill our Sunforger? Oh, no. Mistakes. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. Do we want to keep going in? Alright. You know what they say. You got to just YOLO it every once in a while, huh? We didn't think that one through very well, but let's see what we can do. Oh, more inner beasts, more cards happening. Okay, okay. We'll give a little emote on that one. the biggest fight over a cosmic youngling that never needed to happen. That's what just went down right there. Sure, load it up. Not quite ready to Sunburst. I'm curious if he just keeps throwing cards onto this dum-dum, but again, this isn't a unit I'm ultimately worried about. Like if he starts, you know, chipping in for 3 and 4 damage, it's kind of whatever. I'm ultimately more worried about Udyr or Pantheon coming in. All right, let's get the party started. Draw dragons. Uh-oh. Hang on. That's going to be a Nightfall Dragon if we play our Eclipse. We got to pass. I think it's okay, but I certainly just saw like all this mana that we had and got hype about the mana and then realized that was going to be a mistake. Let's get the Shield Bearer down to make sure we have another unit on board. It's going to be like that previous game to where we have the time, we just need to make sure we don't die.
Today we say enough.
So one target's going to flip this Pantheon. It's a bummer. It's a real high risk spot here in the sense of if we go for the Sunburst and then he hits Spell Shield on Pantheon, we're going to get savaged. But I think we can at least ignore him for this point at this moment. Like being able to flip Pantheon at burst speed is not something I want to get really involved with. We don't have to play Aurelion Sol next turn if we don't want to, so don't have to worry about it a ton. And then he's not playing Demacia, right? The thing you have to start to worry about as these big Pantheons come on board, he did hit Spell Shield, is them having challengers, right? Being able to challenger down your, or not challengers, cataclysms. So, reasonable enough. We can put a stun onto Pantheon if we want, and then try to Sunburst, but I think I just want to play Aurelion Sol. Anything cool in here? I'm leaning towards the Immortal Fire. It's cheaper, and if he turns up with a rando elusive, it lets us get in front of it, and then it takes two things to kill it. The flip side to that would be is if opponent's removal spell is going to be a Sunburst. Sunburst fights through the if I would die thing. Now, the other thing we can look towards next turn is going to be playing the Skies Descend. It looks like he's probably just going to be trying to open kill our Aurelion Sol, but Aurelion Sol is still going to flip, and we can play the second one flipped and then start to add in our Celestials for free.
Are you ready to destroy a demon, Oracle?
I'm ready to
So we'll see if that's what comes up here. It may have been better to just Sunhawk onto the Pantheon to get the Sunburst, or to break the Spell Shield, but it's going to be really tough for him to lethal this turn. Hells yeah. I was hoping we'd hit a 0 mana card off of our Aurelion Sol. it's a 2-1 now though, so this is okay, right? This is better since it's a 2-1.
Bleed, we must.
He doesn't have quick attack though. He's gonna lose his Pantheon. I think we just let this happen. Like this, the thing that's scary to me in this spot is if he follows up with another combat trick. Right, we're not going to get killed from 5. Let's just let this happen. And then we got another one, right? We got another one. Maybe that'll get a big card for us. We'll be beholden Celestials. I'm leaning towards the Cosmic Inspiration.
They think themselves cultured.
Okay. Is he going to be able to kill our Aurelion Sol? It feels like he's doing that to pop the spell shield. It strikes me as a space to where he might just have like a flash freeze, but we probably don't have to worry about a kill spell. Hells yeah, Moonsilver. Just what I was hoping for, just what the doctor ordered, coming in with a zero cost card followed by another 0 cost card. That's the way to do it. See if we can't get lethal this turn.
Warriors of the Raharaka, time is now.
So I'm going to add in Ravoon. Interesting addition with the Solari Priestess. Well, it was interesting until that happened. That was a nasty silence. All right. Well, that's it. Here comes the squad. What do we got now? Hells yeah, Equinox. So the the cost of the cards that we have hit at this point. We hit a we hit the 0 cost Serpent, and then we hit the Moonsilver, and then we hit the Equinox. So, well done, guys. Nicely done. Let's see. We'll drop in this single combat. I guess we need to be a little careful with it. Let's send it off of the Immortal Fire. So if something goes completely wrong here, we don't lose a unit. But the single combat shouldn't be happening. Whew. And so yeah, that's the way that you can end up losing with the Aurelion Sol on board for like a million turns, right? The average cost of card created by Aurelion Sol, what is that? 0.33? Jesus. All right, next battle. Good games, good fun. What do we got? A little bit of Donger Nora. See how it goes. These are the matchups that worry me a little bit with the likeness of our slower route, right? This is the kind of deck to where we may be able to pop off against it with something like a Champion Strength, but they're ready to match our slowness. And I worry that, you know, Aurelion Sol is just a little too slow. You're not supposed to be playing Vengeances, bro. Not supposed to be playing Vengeances. So here I'm taking this a little slow. This is fine. I want to be able to play combat tricks, or I want to be able to single combat away his Nora if he plays one. He's taken it to where that hasn't been the case, but I think it's fine. Some kind of just weird do-nothing draw. just gonna add the soldier. I just keep playing this slow. If he takes the hook onto our soldier, we can Pale Cascade. I want to be getting this Sun Forger down now, though. We gotta start getting the big attacks in. Sitting the kind of deck I like to be going into the mid game, having not really done anything.
Punish transgressions.
Steel's too good for you.
Steel's too good for you. This is fine. You know, we got the Pale Cascade. I'd prefer to save it for a higher value target or a higher value combat than what's happening here. And then it is kind of nice to keep this mana banked back. Because say next turn we draw Leona, or next turn we draw Ravoon, or you know, we get ourselves really set up to start playing big play after big play after big play. You know, just having the mana banked up for a more important unit is kind of nice. Comes in with a hate spike. Sure. Right, and Ravoon. Not quite. Not quite. I like our thought process there, though. I think that's good. I think that's good.
My faith.
I'm going to cycle this Pale Cascade at this point. Got a Hush. Okay. He already has a million cards. I don't think I'm worried about him drawing a couple of more. Got a Kyrian Sunporker, huh? I guess he's coming in for the damage. So does this deck play the Ruination? I'm curious if that's something we would see out of this thing. Keep soaking up the pastries. Why not? Why not? Alright, can we do anything now? We can next turn, that's for certain. It's about to be dragon time up in here. Interesting. Salter getting more
Unyielding light.
getting more husks on board. Alright though, but we can't waste these spells. We gotta hang on to our single combat. We're definitely at this point now to where we're gonna play an Eclipse Dragon into Aurelion Sol, and we need to keep our interactivity. I don't want to get popped by a Heimerdinger when we can't answer his spells, and so Heimer is a problem here. That's a good argument for not cycling away that Pale Cascade. Is if he drops a Heimerdinger, we could Pale Cascade a Shield Bearer and then hit Heimer for 4. But our hand just wasn't doing anything. We drew all early game stuff and not a mix of stuff. There's the Donger. Well, with that juicy set of stats on the Donger, we wouldn't have been able to single combat him anyways. You can't kind of count on that cycle, though. You can't count on your opponent to portal a Salter to get the husk before the Donger comes in. It's a bit obnoxious to think on that level. All right. The Dong ready for battle. So I'm curious if this baits out a Vengeance, right? The thing that's unfortunate for next turn is if we drop an Aurelion Sol and then he's got a 1 damage ping into a Vengeance. Now, I don't know how I feel about this anymore. It's like, the Donger is a very important unit for him to have, but is Heimerdinger more important than facing down Aurelion Sol? That's I don't know the answer to that one. What do we got? One of these good ones. The Great Beyond's interesting in that it's got the elusive to go with it, and we could find ourselves. We're probably gonna find ourselves hushing the 6 attack turret, but we don't have the mana to do all this. This doesn't cost 7. This is gonna cost 9, and so we could potentially just take the 6 from the thing. Maybe we can get this down and have it do enough work. Look at that though. 20 out of 20 on the stats. Yeah, this is what I expected. He's just gonna get stunned to oblivion. I mean, maybe not. Maybe not. I'm gonna keep him back. I'm not certain what the removal angle from opponent would look like here. Could look to Piercing Light next turn. That's certainly in his wheelhouse. It would be nice to come in and like bait out another like wallop. Fine. All right. You tried, dude. You tried. So now we gotta count on these the Great Beyond and friends to try and finish this off. Interesting with single combat. The fuck? It's playing Eclectic Collections? Interesting. Alright, so we take some damages. I think we're 1 short with the Great Beyond, right? Aurelion Sol is not a Celestial. So play this no Daybreak Ravoon. And the next turn, we're going to look to play the Great Beyond. Single combat this Nora away to get the Fury stack and then go in for the kill. That's what I was hoping for, but we're not gonna have the mana for all that, or we're not gonna have the damages for all that. Yeah, 1 short, man. 1 short. How else are we gonna get out of this? Give me another angle, deck. Give me another angle. One damage, man. I wonder. I mean, we certainly played this not aggressive in the early game, right? We did a lot of plays to where we just held back units and didn't attack. Curious. I'm curious how much that's a mistake at this point now, right? We definitely missed out on a lot of chip damage that we could have potentially gotten in. I feel like we did. We weren't being particularly aggressive in that early game. We were waiting to play units. We were trying to bait out single combats and pale cascades and stuff. So it's a definite possibility we missed a point or 2 of damage along the way, and then that was what we missed out on the end. That's one of those. It's the same guy. That's one of those things that definitely separates the cream from the milk, or however you say these kind of things, in the sense that, why are the people that are able to hang out in the top 100 of the game and win these events and stuff? What's different between them and us? And it's a lot of that is finding a way to win that game right there when you have that big elusive right at the end, ready to finish off the game. And, you know, having the angle lined up. Now this game, we'll see what we can do. I don't know what you're really supposed to be doing with this triple pale cascade opener, but we'll see if we can't do something here. At least got to spend a little bit of our mana. Now we can recover a little bit with this Hush getting in front of Nora. Alright. Did we get the takedown yet? Is he going to spend another burn spell? This is what it was meant to be when you draw the triple pale cascade, right? It's meant to come in like this. Now we'll protect our Leona. I don't think Leona's going to be long for the world. She's probably going to get popped by a get popped by a vengeance, but got to start trying to wear this board down. And I think the thing with Leona against this deck is I would much rather have Leona get hit with a vengeance. The fuck? Ooh, boy. I was going to say, I'd much rather have Leona get hit with a vengeance, though, than have one of our big dragons. And we're coming up to the big dragon turns as we're hanging out with the Dragon's Clutch in hand. We're most certainly going to be doing the turn 7, turn 8 dragons again. Alright, away with Senna, into Vhagar. Alright, well, that's a that's a way to get the darknesses going. I'll give you that. I gotta stop there. Again, I'm not really counting on this Leona to do much. I would like to just start playing the big dragons. It's nice to have the Pale Cascade mana behind if that's what we're going to be trying to do. But
I am in control.
that's aggressive. Fine.
Face my shield.
Fine, dude. The Ixtali's not that scary at this point, right? It's just, like, he's already at 20, and we're not going to be slamming damage in anytime soon. The next attack should hopefully have a bunch of damage associated with it, but... Oh, I forget about this, shit. I forget about the vaults. We probably need to pivot. We can't just let the Rekindler hang out and morph up into an 8. I guess 8's probably going to be Des and Ada. I'll say no to that.
Piercing rays.
Such naivete.
Really? Like, that's insane to me. You're not blocking with the Rekindler here. This should be safe. There's only damage-based removals he's going to be dropping at this point. I would assume with him looking to line up a block in front of the Ravoon that he's going to have a 1 damage ping or something in hand, but we can't... interesting. We can't let him just start going up the chain, and so getting rid of Vhagar is kind of nice. And hopefully it improves from here. Don't have a lot of interactivity left, and so we don't have a lot of great ways to stop this value chain coming from the vaults.
We each died,
Yeah.
then found home.
Sad noise. Let's do this. Let's lead off with the Solari Soldier. I want to get the Nightfall out of the Eclipse Dragon as well. We'll get the Nightfall plus Daybreak out of Ravun being on the board. See if we turn up an interesting Celestial while we're at it. The thing that's going to happen to us, though, if you're not familiar with what's about to happen, is the Rekindler is going to become Decenada, and then Decenada is going to AoE Darkness our board, and he's got these Vagars, so the Darkness should be doing 5 damage next turn. And there's just not anything we can do about it here.
The hour approaches.
5 damage, Darkness. Like, we can Daybreak a little bit of stuff, but none of our units survive this thing. It's just like we're gonna play Aurelion Sol, and then he's just gonna pop it with a Vengeance. This game's done. That's tough. These aren't the matchups we're looking to face. It's kind of an interesting space. Like in my testing for best of 3, again, we're playing with this idea that we're just gonna ban out Karma Set. But I think the actual most important deck to ban in the format is Deep. And then there's a fair amount of like weird lineups that have been problematic. In playing in the Gauntlets, I've been seeing a lot of Deep running around. You'll get these weirdo lineups that are like Deep, Aatrox, Vayne, and Ashe, and you're just never going to beat anything like that. But I see a lineup like that, and I'm curious if it's just decks that the person likes, right? That's what a lot of these decks are. It's like I kind of craft these lineups that are, ideally good against what you expect to see, but also decks that I like. I'm curious to a degree how much that is, because that's a lineup that just gets completely smashed by decks with Karma lineups in them. Like, those are just matches that just can't win. Like, I guess you can, on your end, you can still be looking to ban Karma, but you probably also have to be looking to ban Fizz with those lineups, and those are, I don't know, it strikes me as lineups that lose to both Karma and Samira, and it's like they're just trying to pick on a weird space.
I've got gravel cakes and flag fruit.
Can't leave this guy on board. I mean, we could double single combat, but I do like to think we'll get a better single combat than we have right now.
Bye, Duke friends.
Kind of a bummer not having the 3-attack soldier on board to handle that stuff.
Punish transgressions.
Alright, the big landmarks coming through. Hopefully we can stun our way through some of this stuff, but 2 turns from now is going to look pretty nasty. We need a Leona stat. Need a Leona ASAP. And Talia? Okay. We'll save some time on that one and just move on to the next one. That draw we had is nowhere near ready to handle a start like that. Alright, though. Let's get ourselves one final battle in. See if we can't crack this back up to the 50-50 mark, or if we're going to hang out as predicted around 40%. We'll see what turns up. All right. Samira Fizz. And my thing with Samira Fizz is like our decks are like fairly well tuned to be dealing with it. That's why you're seeing a lot of stuff out of this deck, like playing the full 3 sets of Fleet Feather Tracker. It's just to have that little bit of interactivity in the early game against a deck like this, but it's still a tough matchup. Like I don't suspect it will come in and beat this deck like 100% of the time, but I'm still hoping to have some amount of positive win rate against this thing.
My faith protects me.
See if we can't make something happen this turn. He doesn't really want to be overbanking through this round, and so we should get some usage out of our mana. And then if he just absolutely decides to play nothing, us overbanking 1 to him overbanking 3 is a pretty good deal. But happy to take Samira off the board. I would say he's probably just going to deal 1 damage to us and then she dies. Wonder how crazy he gets if he like deals the damage and then gives her +2/+2. Did not get crazy. The craziness did not happen. Alright, well, let's take the stun where we can get it. Hopefully we can pick on their board a little bit more next turn. See if the Fizz deck takes our champion strength. He has to just be seeing, like, well, I guess there's definitely a world where he wants to take Sunburst, but he's only going to be seeing these 4 cards to the right because he can't see Leona. And the Sunburst is actually a scary one. Bar Knuckles. Interesting. Alright, let's see if he took that Sunburst. Like, I think he would look at our hand and just be like, okay, Pale Cascade. But I wonder, the ones you would have to like think about have to involve both Pale Cascade and Sunburst. And with that in mind, I think he would probably just take the Sunburst. I don't think you sit there and think very long if you get shown. Wow, maybe he didn't have Sunburst. It's like, I don't think you sit around and think too long if you have both. Like these 3, the big 3. You just snap off the Sunburst. The only real decision is if you have the Pale Cascade and the Sunburst together. In my opinion, at least. Alright, we don't have any Hushes. There's the Pale Cascade. Probably have to just go ahead and deal with Shelly. I was hoping this would be a spot to where... well, hang on, that's not the way we want to do this, right? We just want to drop the Sun Guardian, we're going to drop the Solari Soldier, and then we're going to champion Strength next turn. We'll have 10 mana next turn. We should be able to play the Soldier and then champion Strength. So we'll get a stun and we'll get a protect on Leona while we're at it. And then without Samira, I do feel pretty safe. Samira, even if he like plays Samira at this point, he's not going to play 12 spells. So I don't think we have to worry about a rally coming in. Okay. This is also going to be a gangplank, a parlay. There we go. He's playing all the spells, that's for certain. Pirouette. So that's fine. Then we're still in the same spot next turn. We can even add the Fleet Feather Tracker now. We're gonna have 10 mana next turn, so we can add the Soldier, then add the Champion Strength.
We will not suffer unbelievers.
They will not escape punishment.
You're not gonna survive the round, are you? Are you, Leona? It's not meant to be. I think we're fine though. And we got it. GG. Picking that win rate up, right? No 30%, no 40% today. We got it way up top. We got it way up high, all the way up to 50%. And so we can pull this up and talk about it a little bit more. And so you can see the idea. You can see what we're working with here in the sense that Aurelion Sol is, you know, that little bit slower that we're looking for and should give us the option to be more effective against the other Leona-based decks. It's just, I worry it's too slow. It's a little bit too off. Trying to find ourselves in these spots to where we're playing Eclipse Dragon into Aurelion Sol, while powerful, doesn't even necessarily win the game. I'm really glad that we got to kind of showcase that game to where, you know, you hit the Serpent, you hit the Moon Silver, you hit the Equinox. I mean, you just need to hit like literally anything in the world that costs 4 mana or more. And the game just goes, you know, really downhill from there. And so as I was kind of like thinking with this deck, I was curious if we wouldn't be better served just playing Champion Strength, getting rid of the Eclipse Dragons, getting rid of the Aurelion Souls, getting rid of the Dragon's Clutches, and then just replacing that with Champion Strength, and then probably a little bit more interactivity, or you could maybe add another +2/+2 combat trick or something. Or the card that I've been trying to spread across these decks as I'm expecting to play against Samira Fizz and not ban it, is adding Loyal Badger Bears to all these decks, so you just have access to the 4/4 that can block the elusive units. And so I think it might be a little bit better served moving in that direction than we're really getting out of this here. But you can kind of pick up on the ideal. You can see what we're working with in terms of, okay, you know, I'm planning on playing against the Leona decks. I'm planning on being just a little bit slower than them. I'm going to shut down their offense a little bit, and then my bigger cards are going to overcome to where they're playing a bunch of 1-drops. We're playing 7 and 8 drops, and if we shut down the 1s, then our big cards are going to have the time to shine. It's just, I'm a little worried as we're like working our way through the top end of platinum and the bottom end of diamond, and we're still just pulling off barely at 50% win rates. The ultimately the amount of success we would be able to have in the larger event, and I don't think it's there. It's like at the end of the day, I feel like we're probably a lot safer just playing Champion Strengths than we are playing Aurelion Souls, and so it's kind of a bummer there. But I think we can probably just say move into playing Kales and Badger Bears and Champion Strengths and feeling a little bit better about it. The thing, ultimately, the thing I want to do is just to put the Darkened Spear into every deck and play a bunch of Anakas. That's where my mind is at. But nonetheless, a good set of games. Got to play some dragons. Ain't nothing wrong with that. We got to flip some Aurelion Souls. That's always fun. I had fun. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. So this is Bustin'. We thank you for being here.